welcome back to another episode of the Glory Boys podcast, where we're here to help you think bigger, whether you're a creative, an entrepreneur, you're just starting out in your journey, or you got a couple years under your belt and you're looking to take it to the next level. This podcast is for you. We're so glad you're here. I'm one of your hosts, Austin.
I'm Darren.
And I'm Trev. Today we're going to talk about our process at GV from onboarding a client all the way through the final video.
Yes.
Hey.
Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you're watching us on YouTube, which you totally should, because this studio is crazy. You definitely have to check it out.
Check out the
Find
vibes.
something on the walls that just brings nostalgia vibes.
Yeah.
It's like the good mid 1980s all the way to the early 2000s.
Yep.
It's on the wall. There's
of the vibes. There's something for you on this
There's
wall.
something for you. So definitely check it out.
Yeah, if you're on YouTube, drop a comment. What's your favorite piece of decoration that you see in this room? Hit us up.
Yep. And if you're listening, that's awesome too, because we love Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere you enjoy your podcasts. But if you guys could on YouTube, like this video, comment like Austin just said, and then make sure to press the bell for notifications so that every time we drop a pod, which is 2 times a month, the first and third Mondays of every month.
Yeah,
I got it right.
Nailed it.
I got it. We drop a pod. And so we just hope that you guys enjoy this and it adds value to your life.
Yep. Let's go.
Oh, my turn. Sorry. Show notes are great if you actually look at them.
Right.
Shout out to Trev for making the show notes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Good job.
Trev.
Good
Thanks.
job.
Yeah.
It actually
Shout out to Bray for producing.
Yeah,
Yes.
Bray. We don't have a cam for her, but she's over there just straight chilling.
Yeah, she
like
is.
a villain.
She is.
But yeah, the icebreaker today is Trev, you just got back from a 10-day trip
yeah.
in Guatemala.
Yeah.
Guatemala. Dude, sick.
Yeah, it was
about it.
crazy. Yeah. So I went down there on a mission trip with church. We were putting on a pastor's retreat for pastors in a certain section of Guatemala. So
Right.
just a little Guatemala geography for you. They operate in sections like we do states kind of, and then there's cities within sections. And so sometimes they have like we have New York City, New York. It's a city and a state called the same thing. Same thing with them. So I was in Jalapa, Guatemala,
Okay.
which is a city in a section called Jalapa. So anyway, it's a very mountainous area of Guatemala. And so there are pastors. We have long-term missionary pastors that we partner with, that our church partners with. And then those missionaries serve the local pastors around, specifically in the mountain villages. So we spend hours on a dirt road just winding through, really bumpy, really windy, through the mountains of Jalapa, and you roll up on these villages, these small villages of people who have just made their lives in these mountains.
Yeah.
And they're a very resourceful people. So they, houses made out of just like mixtures of sand and stone and stuff like that. Pieces of tin. I mean, it really at times felt like we were in a movie. It was quite humbling. But anyway, we went there to put on a pastor's retreat for those pastors, just encourage them, because a lot of times in their culture, when you go to a place like that and you pastor, it's like you do that nonstop. They, even to the point of sometimes will neglect their own family, and they'll just pour everything they have into this call in their life, which sounds really awesome, but it's really not the most effective way, and it's certainly not the most healthy way to do that.
Yeah, for sure.
So we go and remind them. We put on this retreat, create a space for them to unplug for a couple days, be encouraged. We pray for them intentionally. We actually spend the first 2 days that we were there visiting them in their own villages, in their own homes, then bring them down to the city, put on the retreat. So it was unbelievable. I could talk all day about it, but it truly was a remarkable experience to see people that are serving God and making sacrifices to the point that you'd like to think you'd say, I would do that. But when you see it, it's real stuff.
Wow.
It's people that I was explaining to you earlier, like we sit down with them and we ask them how we can pray for them kind of at the end when we're visiting them and wrapping up. And these pastors ask for good health, maybe some clean water, and spiritual growth. And that's it. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, there's a million things in this environment right this instant I probably would have asked for before that.
Wow.
Maybe the water thing. But it was very humbling. And just to know that as much as we see God move here and in what we're doing, and we're really encouraged by it, he's still moving in other parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's the same God here as he is there.
Mm-hmm.
He cares about those people as much as he cares about anybody.
Yeah.
The biggest, most flourishing church here gets as much care from him as the tiny village church in the mountain of Guatemala.
Yeah.
That maybe starts with 2 or 3 people showing up on a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
But they are called to be there. They know they're on mission.
Yeah.
A kid I roomed with, his name's Eric Fernando. He was recently called to this village, and we went to visit it. And he's got not even a building, just like a structure that kind of has a shed like top, and just 4 legs keeping it up. And so we asked him, like, how many believers are in this area and all this? He's like, I don't know. I just got here. Like, I don't know this place. He's literally going to go door to door after that retreat. This is where he went. He went back to that village. He's not from there. Went door to door. Hey, I'm going to be meeting at this place on Sundays. Hope you can join. And like, that's it. Like, talk about uncertainty. Talk about following and walking in obedience because you know and you heard from God what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And he's 25 years old.
Wow.
He knows he's called into missions. He wants to go to Southeast Asia eventually with it. But right now, this is what he was told to do.
Wow.
And he's following that faithfully in a place that he's got no friends and doesn't know if there's even any believers there right now.
Wow.
But he's believing that God's going to move. So
That's
anyway, sick. I'm going to have more photos and videos and everything coming out as a part of our church. I go to Crossroads Church in Lincoln. And so maybe you can see some stuff there, but it was crazy. So thanks for letting me go on that trip.
Yeah.
It was a long time away from home, but it was really impactful and really awesome. So I was super blessed to be able to do that.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Did, so these pastors, like, were they able to bring their spouses and stuff to the retreat, or was it just mostly focused on them personally?
Yeah, it's a good question. So they were able to bring their spouses, and a couple even brought their young kids.
Nice.
I think we tried to stay away from that just because we want them to engage fully and disconnect and be restful. But certainly spouses, because that's part of the deal is we want them to connect with their spouse in a way that they may not have the whole year leading up to that because they're so focused on work. And so some of the pastors are single. Some of them are single women. Some of them are single men. Sometimes there's at least one instance where the wife is the pastor and the husband is supporting. So a good mix. But the idea was, yes, pastor and spouse ideally come to this retreat. So we had about 52 to 56-ish come, and it was amazing. Yeah. Very spirit filled. Held some sermons for them, some worship sessions which were amazing, all led in Spanish by their teams.
Sick.
And like I couldn't understand a word of it, but it was powerful. God was there.
There's some about worship in Spanish.
Yeah,
it's like
there's something about it.
It's like I don't understand the words you're saying, but like I understand what's going on right now. And
100%.
It's a cool thing.
Mm-hmm.
I told you guys I led like half a song, half of a worship set
I forgot about
in Spanish.
that.
Was that back in the day, or was that at my city?
No, this was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I first became a worship leader, there's just a small church in my hometown, and they hosted at the church a side room, like Hispanic worship, Spanish speaking service, and the guy like loved me, and he was like, "Hey man, would you like lead worship?" And I was like super intimidated. I'm like, I'm brand new at this. I just have my guitar. I only know English.
Right.
He's like, no, like sing in English. They won't understand, but like it's still, they'll appreciate the music very much.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah, I'd love to bless them. But then in turn, I just wanted to go a little above and beyond. So I literally learned how great is our God. Just that's it in Spanish.
Phrase.
So I sang that a little bit of that part, and he was like, I sent him a voice memo, and I was like, hey man, am I singing it right? Like, is this gonna be like stupid? And he's like, no, they're gonna love this. And I remember doing it, and it was powerful, and people were worshiping their face off, and it was just me, little me and a guitar in this tiny little side room of this church. But yeah, it was just really powerful. And I don't know, there's just something beautiful about worshiping in other languages. And I just, totally. I love that you got to experience that in a even grander way, for sure.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's amazing how little they need. There are churches there that are big churches that have really high production value, all that stuff.
Sure.
I want to be honoring in how I speak about them, but it's just their circumstances are much harder than others. And a lot of these pastors chose to be in that. A lot of them did grow up with going to normal grocery stores and doing normal things, quote unquote normal.
Sure.
And so a lot of them followed that call into the difficult situations, which is very admirable. And, but anyway, point being, what I think is so awesome is they understand, like, they don't need a big experience to be able to connect with the Holy Spirit in worship. And so they just want to sing together. They just want to worship. And so we did have piano and, actually, I think it was just piano, just keyboard, singer, and some speakers, and it was incredible.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, a really great experience, and something that that if you can get involved in prayer or giving or going, anything like that, missions work is really amazing. It really enables a lot of people to take the word of God out into the world and expand his kingdom. So
amen.
Anyway,
Did you get some sick drone shots?
I got some sick drone shots
let's go.
of mountains and city and a volcano that we hiked and all sorts of stuff. So
Awesome.
Dude,
yeah,
can't
some
wait
good
to see.
good drone stuff. But
Heck
anyway, today though, the actual episode
Yeah.
is about our process here at GV. Thanks for letting me touch on that trip. It was really awesome. But we want to add value today to people listening who are maybe trying to build their own process or refine something, or walking through business wondering how have we done it? What do we do?
Yeah.
I know that would have been valuable for me to hear back in the day. And so let's talk about, what does our process look from onboarding a client, getting a client, which has changed a little bit recently, all the way through final video delivery. So
I can kind of kick it off. And it's funny, we were talking about, like, is this episode valuable to our listeners? And, the last couple episodes have been a lot of updating and a lot of encouragement and a lot of feel and more like, I don't know how to describe it, less practical, still valuable, I think, but it's more on like the encouragement standpoint.
Sure.
But we don't want to just, every episode, obviously we have encouragement time. So we want you to feel encouraged after every single one of our episodes, but we also know that, like, there's a practical piece of it.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a little bit more, practical, nuts and bolts. We're just going to walk you through how we serve, deliver, bill our clients. So if that's something that your process needs some tweaking, if it's something that you are really awesome at and you're like, hey, you should try this, definitely drop a comment down below. We are never above feedback. We're never we never arrive. We never feel like we have everything figured out by any means. But we've learned some things over the last 6 years. And so we want to share that with you guys. And this is, like Trev said, this is a constantly evolving process. This is just like current stage. This is our process right now in May of 2024.
Right. Probably will change.
Probably by the time this episode airs,
something will have changed.
Something will have changed.
Here's the one thing before we dive into the nuts and bolts, is that even if this process is maybe a little bit overwhelming for you or it's too much, there definitely are pieces in this process that are pretty standard, that if you are at all running a business, or maybe you're a freelancer, or maybe you're a one-man band and you're filming for, contract work on the side of your full-time job, there's some processes and things in here that will very much help you. I remember starting a business by myself before I met these lovely people, and I was doing it by myself, Googling everything, YouTubing everything, trying to figure out what simple processes to do, even simple things as invoicing.
Yeah.
And I was like downloading somebody that created a PDF that I could download and then edit and try to work in. And it was just a lot. Like there's just so many things. And as far as like onboarding and making sure I'm not missing any emails and all these like silly little things that, you know, you think are pretty easy, but when you're doing them all by yourself, it gets very overwhelming. So hopefully this will help kind of clear up some of that and give you some pointers to be more effective in your business.
And another thing too, and I didn't really talk to you about this beforehand, but we're going to be creating a community for you guys who are listening to the podcast, who want to go, you know, a step deeper, who maybe have questions. You know, you could reach out to us directly. We're always cool with that, but sometimes, you know, we're busy doing our jobs and don't always get back to everybody right away. And so the goal really is to build a community. And so what we'll do, because this episode, you know, we're filming it a few weeks before it goes out, and I think I have time to kind of get this ready. But we'll put a link in the description that you can actually get access to a private community that's just for the people who listen to this podcast, who want to engage. The other thing too is if you need help on like the systems and software side of things, that's something that I feel like we can help a lot of you people out with, a lot of you listeners. And so that's a big part of this is our process, yes, is, you know, everything. Having a step-by-step system on how to take clients through, but having a system that can manage, that can keep track of those things, that can automate things that can be automated. That's all something that we've done for quite a while, but more recently have, I feel like, gotten a lot better at. And so if that's you, definitely check out the link in the description. And if there's not a description wherever you're listening, hop on YouTube. It'll be there. I believe it should be in the Apple Podcast description. But again, if you can't find it, hop over to YouTube. Click the link in the description. You can get access to our private community. Ask away on questions. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can. So
sure.
Moving on to our actual process. So step one, obviously, is a client needs to find out about you, right? So maybe let's just touch on that briefly on what we're currently doing. And this is one thing that's going to change a lot over the next couple of months. We are going through a program right now that is a very high level program on how to get more clients, because who doesn't need more clients? And I know that's a struggle for a lot of creatives, is like, you're good at your art, but you neglect the marketing side. And we touched on that in episode 1, but that's something like we're figuring out right now. And that is a huge focus of ours, is figuring out how to take clients from either not knowing about us or knowing about us and not really realizing they need video to knowing that they need us specifically. And so we'll be, as we're going through that journey over the next few months, we'll be sharing what we learn with you guys as well. And that's another reason to join the community. But right now, really, we're running some Google ads, some LinkedIn ads, some IG ads, and it's a pretty, $500 total a month budget across all 3 of those platforms combined. So
it's
nothing crazy.
Pretty simple. First of all, like word of mouth referrals are great. They're always going to be your most valuable, but they don't scale so well all the time. And so that's kind of, again, just to touch on that a little bit, kind of our thinking behind this. But right now, as of, a few months ago, our process for getting ourselves in front of the right clients is some social media ads. It's a little bit of manual reach out. Here's Lola Bean that just joined me on the couch if you're watching. It's some manual reach out. LinkedIn has proven to be really valuable for all of us. We actually all love, being on it. There's a ton of value to get there. There's a ton of value to share there.
It's the one social media that doesn't suck.
Yes, exactly. And so even just as simple as connecting with people, shooting them a quick note that says, hey, I'd love to talk about your marketing strategy as it pertains to video, or things like that,
Yeah.
some of that manual reach out can be really promising. And then keeping your eyes and ears open. There's a place that, one client of ours that has a business directory. So that's obviously an easy touch point to be able to contact those people, see if they need video because we have common ground. So yeah, it's really not this complicated like formula and all this marketing stuff. We are trying to learn how to optimize it, how to be better at it, more efficient, how to scale it. But right now, like it seems like it was a really big step for us. And then you kind of look back on it and it's like, it's really important. There is some confusing things within it, but you don't have to start with this really complex thing. It's make a couple targeted ads, boost them, post as an Instagram reel, boost it to your target audience and see what happens. So, so it's relatively simple concept, and that's what we've been running with the last couple months. It's been working fairly well. Not a super high budget, but until we can kind of proof of concept type of thing, until that starts to be able to pay for itself a little bit, we'll rock with it. And then once we know something's proven, this is working, invest more dollars there and watch more dollars walk in the door.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say, and we've done networking groups in the past. Obviously, networking is a huge thing with getting new clients. We've talked about it before, but every time we work with a client, excellence is the expectation, and that leaves a good impression. And we get introduced to people through current clients.
Yeah.
Even things like doing a newsletter, reaching out on a consistent basis, giving your clients value. That's essentially free way to potentially get more work with those clients. Or if you're reaching out, hey, we really love working with you. Who do you know that's like you? I would love an introduction. We've done that a few times with like key clients that we work with a lot that we love and they love us. We're like, hey, who are some people that that are like you? And would you mind making a quick email introduction or just even giving me their email and I'll let them know, or you can ask them first or whatever that looks like to be, respectful of that person. But that's another great way to just maximize the organic, if you're not in a place that you have money to spend on ads, there's organic ways to do it that are free.
Totally.
So that's how we're currently getting clients. Once we get the client, we really push them to a form. So we've broken out kind of each of our different niches on our website. So we've got advertising, which is really more of your like high-end commercial. You're going to run ad budget behind it. It's going to be, something you're putting on television, things like that. We've got corporate, which is really just everything else in the business to business sphere, company brand stories, client testimonials, event stuff. It kind of is all encompassing.
It's like a million subcategories of that.
Yep. Then we've got social media, which honestly we don't do a ton of, and I don't really care to do a ton of it.
It's usually just like repurposing the corporate content to work on social is more where the social media video falls.
Yep.
It's pretty rare that someone like actually approaches us and it makes sense to do like a fully social optimized shoot.
Yeah, we've just seen that the ROI is not really there for social media. Yeah. And I say that in a sense of like we used to have like Bray make a social media reels and then or I would make some, or we would all collectively make them and then like bank them up and then post them. And then we'd get, a couple thousand hits on them. But like, what was the, like, I don't know, there was no really point other than to just look cool or to jump on a trend. And so what we really decided was like, we have always as a company have taken really awesome professional behind the scenes photos. And now we're taking a lot of behind the scenes video. And with that, we'll post that stuff, like the culture of our teams and what it looks like on set and what gear we're using at the time. Or if we add something new to our kit, we're going to probably post about it. But that's really it. So it's like, it's not so much of a portfolio or, hey, look what we're doing. But it's like, hey, this is our company. And when you land on our page, you're going to feel our company. You're going to feel the culture. You're going to feel the professionalism. But that's really it. There's not really any other reason to dive in. As the type of company that we are, it just doesn't make sense to like make a bunch of extra, trending audio, like video reels and stuff like that.
Yep. And most people who are doing that is for the clout or whatever, and usually they don't have the budget to hire
Right.
a full-scale production company. They need somebody, you know, who's got a camera and a gimbal, who wants to make trendy clips, which is awesome. Nothing against that type of business. You can make a business doing that. It's just really not our thing. We have done some social media ads, so like specifically vertical, like for Justin, we've done, you know, a set of 10 ads that are very scripted and, you know, designed to target a certain people. They're running business, or they're running dollars behind it, targeting specific people and with a very specific desired outcome. But as far as like building social media, we don't do a ton of that. So that's 3 services, really 2 that we focus on mostly, commercial and corporate, and then branding. This is a newer service that we've added, but we've just realized that we have a knack to some level for seeing brands being able to communicate with a designer to create a logo and a brand guide around that brand, and then really like all of the other things that go into a brand. There's more. A brand is way more than just a logo. But it's what's your language like? What does your page look like? What is your, you know, are your fonts consistent, or do you have a color palette? And a lot of brands in Omaha do not do a very good job of that. And so we've just realized there's a huge need. It's not like a major service that we offer, but it's really fun to do when we get the opportunity to do it. And we love helping brands with that. So those are kind of the 4 like pages that you can land on when you go to our website. Each one just has a form. They're pretty much all the same, but they each will kind of trigger a different name for the project, so we can separate out, okay, this is this type of project, this type of project. And so that's really like the lead capture part of it. If you don't have a landing page at the very least with a form to contact you, that would be step number 1. Getting some sort of software that allows you to do that. It doesn't even have to be a fully built out website, but at least a landing page just where somebody can fill out their information, and then some sort of system to capture that lead data and have, you know, all of your contacts that you can then keep track of, follow up with. And again, like I said, we can help you with that if you click the link below and join the community. But that's the initial reach out. From there, what do we do?
Then we'll follow up with them once they fill out a form. We'll follow up. Our process is automated in that way. Once they submit a form, they get an email from me. And the goal is to book a call. Let's jump on a call, because for what we do, it is tough to give any sort of pricing proposal or estimate or anything like that until we've actually talked face to face, until we've aligned visions for the project, until we really understand what we're getting into. So the goal is set up a booking, to book a call with myself. Typically, sometimes I'll pull you guys in on if I feel like we need to, but most often it's me, and I just will ask some follow-up questions, things that aren't on our form, because we don't want to make the form too much for someone to commit to filling it out. We just need the basics from them. Tell us a little bit about the project so we know what we're getting into. And then on the call, it's very simple. It's no pressure. I'm not like selling our video services necessarily to you. I'm just really trying to get a good idea of what you're looking to do, and are we a good fit in order to accomplish that. And so I ask a series of questions. They're not really even always the same questions, but some of them will be around budget and if there's deadlines, locations, whatever, some logistics stuff. But yeah, onboarding call is really simple. I just want to know if we're a good fit, and if this is actually going to be a reality, a project that we pursue. Once that happens, if it's like, yep, this is definitely down our alley, we can help you with this, sounds like you might have the budget for it, then I'll take all that information and I'll create a pricing proposal. So we have a sheet that you guys honestly had it built before I even got here, but that you've built out that's really easy plug and play. It's all time-based pricing, small equipment stuff at the top, and then people and editing time. So how much time do we need to do the project to complete it? How many people is it going to take? So it's the very bare bones of it. So I just, according to the project and our discussion, plug those numbers in. What equipment do we need? How many people do we need? How long do we need it for? And then how long is that going to take us? And then defining deliverables. That's really important on the call too, because we need that in the proposal.
For sure.
So defining deliverables, what exactly are we walking away with? Because not everything is just, we want a video, so there's a lot of different things, and even suggesting other deliverables to them to add more.
Because more times than not, they're going to want, can we have a shorter 15-second version and 9x16 for reels? And you're like, you suggest those things and then you get them up front so that we know the expectations of the deliverables. So they feel like they're being served because like, wow, like they get it. They want to stretch out the content and make as much as they can for me, which is, I think, awesome. But something you were talking about, the pricing sheet, I remember when we first developed that thing and it felt like we went from like just two random guys that had cameras that made money sometimes to like an official business.
Yeah.
And good old Panera bread.
Good old Panera
Is that
bread.
where it was born?
That's where we made it.
But it was such a big deal for me. I just couldn't believe it. You got nerd integrator guy over here just figuring out whatever he does.
The formulas on that thing, dude.
The formulas, but it's super helpful. And it's not just like made up crap, because for the first like year of our business, we look at each other and he's like, $2,000, and I'm like, $4,000. We're like, all right, $3,000.
$3,000 sounds good.
And then we would just be like, yeah, it's gonna be $3,000. Like, can we get like a price sheet or? Yeah, no, $3,000.
Yeah,
sound good.
That is
cool.
a price sheet.
And it
The
just
price sheet is one video, $3,000.
That's exactly how people talk in Omaha and like the Midwest is like, hey, how much for a video?
I've been asked that exact question.
Oh, I get asked that all the time.
What?
Hey, how much?
I have
how much
so
y'all
many
charge?
questions.
How much y'all charge for a video?
Yeah.
What? Like
so many variables.
So having a pricing sheet doesn't only just like make your clients feel at ease about what the heck you're charging for and what you're doing, but for your own self and your mind, like to be able to punch it all out, have an exact number, and then add your taxes if you need to, and then send it and be like, okay, we're covered. Taxes are covered. Praise God. And I'm going to make this much money off this project.
Yeah.
And another thing too is it's not just ours is different than, because a lot of people give out these pricing sheets. I remember when Jacob Owens even did that like a long time ago. But you can put in every single piece of gear that you own. And so a lot of people, we didn't do this until just a couple years ago, but a lot of people think that when you just hire, GV, you're just paying for us to show up and use whatever we want and then get it done, give you the video and move on with life. But the reality is like we're driving a $40,000 van to your shoot, and we're filling that van with tens of $100,000 worth of gear and lighting and all this stuff. And maybe you don't need all that stuff, but then we'll just it's all listed on the price sheet, so then we can just use what we need instead of showing up with $100,000 of gear and only use $10,000 worth. You're only going to pay what you need, but you trust us and our expertise to know what is needed for that shoot. And so I love that. We haven't really had any issues with it, I don't think.
No.
And then so like even for your tripods and your stands, like charging $10 for rental, it may seem a little crazy, but that stuff wears and tears and breaks down.
Depreciating every time you use it.
Every time you use it. And so we actually end up building in that cost to then replace that tripod or that light stand. Just because it's not an expensive $10,000 camera or lens doesn't mean that you shouldn't charge rental. I'm not saying charge $500 for somebody who's a tripod.
We're not charging the full price of these items.
That's silly. But $5-10 for a tripod is very common, and you'll find yourself in a lot better space financially and with your gear breaking down and maintenance and stuff like that. So the price sheet literally changed the game for me and for us. I know for me, just coming from like I was by myself, I never saw anything like that before. It never really made sense to me, but once we kind of put our heads together and built it out, it's been the best thing ever. So if you don't have anything like that in your business, I strongly encourage you to get a price sheet.
Yeah, and I think we've done this maybe once before, but what I'll do is I'll just like reformat the pricing sheet so you can plug in your own whatever. The formulas will still be there. You basically just put all your own gear in there. My recommendation and what I've seen other people do, there's two ways you can do it. You can either just charge 5% of the total item value for a rental, which is pretty close to what it would be if you were to go to Lens Rentals or a rental house and rent, or you can just go based off of what their rental price is for a day rate. So if you're charging for a full 8-hour day, 10-hour day, whatever is typical for you, we just typically do about 5% of the total replacement cost of the item. That's our daily rental. And then if you're going to do hourly like we've done, then you just divide that up by how many hours. It really helps protect you. You are bringing a lot of gear, it wears and tears, and you have to be responsible for replacing it and maintaining it. And that should come at the expense of the client that you're using.
Wait, are you going to give our pricing sheet out to these people for free?
Heck yeah, I am.
Hold on a second.
But you have to join the community first.
There it was.
Which is still free. So
still free. You still don't lose anything.
So yeah, join the community. I'll post a link to the community will be in the description, and then I'll post that document.
Let's go.
In the community at some point, probably before this episode airs.
Yeah.
So 4 things real quick to just over touch on onboarding one more time. So that discovery call, really 4 objectives. Number 1, determine if we're a good fit. If the client is trying to see how much they can squeeze out of you for the minimum dollar possible, we've had times where we've just said, hey, we're not a good fit for you. You should go find a company that charges less because you clearly care more about your bottom line than you do getting quality content. We're happy to let those clients go on their merry way. So determining if we're a good fit. Secondly, doing as close of a estimate as we can to how much gear or which pieces of gear, how much personnel, travel time, if pre-production time is necessary for this project, and post-production time, as close to that as we can possibly get. Thirdly, deliverables, trying to figure out exactly what final products we need to deliver, which also will help us determine post-production time and everything like that. And fourthly, I think that one thing that we were taught by a couple homies of ours that run a video production company is people are coming to you because you're the expert. They're not the expert. And so taking that call as an opportunity to consult them, because a lot of people are like, yo, I need a video. But if you can help them bring a little bit of value on that call of like, okay, this is great. You want a 3-minute video for your website, but have you thought of this? Like, what if we could also in this amount of time, or maybe we add 1 hour onto the shoot, that's not going to cost you that much more. We could bring in a client and get you a client testimonial or 2 while we're here. And how much more value would that add? And so taking that opportunity to really be the consultant for them. Not only, is it an upsell, but you're going to provide more value. They're going to get more value out of it. And so I just think it's good to do that. So moving on from onboarding. So once we, have the discovery call, we send a proposal, we get the green light, we're good to go. We send a contract, which we do all of this from our software, by the way. One system that pretty much does all of this within it, which is really great. So we send them a contract, or first we send them a proposal, then, which I guess if you want to walk through how we're doing proposals currently, it's a little bit different, but
So sometimes you just kind of have to read the room. Sometimes it makes the most sense to just send them an email with the number that you come up with. We always will save the pricing sheet, save it as a PDF. We used to just attach it to the email and let them look at it. Some clients, it's just not necessary. They just...
Some people get overwhelmed by like,
seeing a whole...
They don't need to see every individual piece of gear. Some clients appreciate that.
Yeah,
and so
some do.
Like you said, you kind of have to feel that out.
Yeah. And it's never going to hurt to have it attached so that they can see it. But sometimes it's more necessary. Send the number, make it bold in the email so they can see it and whatever. But something we've been trying recently is I will actually do just a short screen recording of myself walking through the proposal, explaining it to them if it's a big project with some scale, because then they don't have to sit there and process what they're looking at. It's just like a 2-minute or shorter video of me explaining the proposal to them. They can just sit, digest the information as is. They still get the final price. And then I will include that attachment as a PDF so that they can just look at it without having to watch a video also. And so That has been well received. People have been enjoying that, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's just a really easy way to be walked through it without like, okay, they see it, now they have a million questions about what am I looking at here? I can just walk through it. And then any questions. I will say too about our proposals, we are setting the expectation that this is as close, but still a ballpark number, or maybe closer than ballpark, hopefully. But it is just an estimate because things are subject to change. There's certain variables we can't control.
Right.
Certain, if they ask for other deliverables last minute or whatever. And so we do like to make it very clear that the proposal that we send, if you green light it, which is why we like to be as accurate as we can on the time and stuff. And we want to make sure we're aligned, because we don't want any surprises for you or for us. But we can't say for a fact exactly what that's going to be at that point in the process. But I think we put, what's our margin?
Yeah, so we put on the proposal, and this is very recent, but we've learned from having projects that most of the time it's the post-production time.
Yeah, that's the biggest part. That's
taking longer than we had expected. And so to kind of protect ourselves, and we give limits to that because it's not on our client that we can't estimate properly. So if you come back and it's twice what they agreed upon, they should be pissed off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's your fault for doing a poor job of estimating.
Yeah.
But what we've done in the past is we've said, okay, well, we spent 4 hours more on the post-production than we bid for. We'll just give them that for free because that's on us. It is on you, but it's also not. You have to allow for flexibility. But the important part is you have to communicate that on the front end.
Exactly.
You can't just be like, oh, I didn't tell you this, but it's actually more. Like,
how many times have
I'll never do that.
How many times have we heard, oh man, just like we'll be on a shoot with a new client or a client that we just started working with, and they'll talk about just the terrible things and experiences that they had with the previous video or production company.
Yeah.
And it's just like stuff that's so cringe that I'm just so thankful to God that we don't do like, oh, by the way, you owe us money. And by the way, here's a like unforeseen charge or, it's like, if anything, we're over delivering and we're over just giving the most value. Because we want that client to come back and we want them to trust us and to ultimately be a lifelong client, not just like a quick paycheck in the moment.
Yeah. So we now put on the pricing sheet, this proposal is our best estimate at this point in the process. It's subject to change plus or minus 25%. So that's the margin we've given ourselves that like, if it's 25% more time consuming than we bargained for, at least we communicated with the client. We can go back and say, hey, and explain it to them. Don't just say, hey, it costs this much and it's out of left field. But like, hey, this actually ended up taking us a little bit more time. Maybe this, complex element that was raised later on in the process took us a little bit more time that we didn't, foresee.
Yeah.
Always making sure that that's good with them. You know, obviously if they're going to be like, if they're a good client, like I'm willing to eat the 25% any day. Cause again, I want to estimate as close as possible, but it just helps protect yourself against that. But again, it just has to be communicated on the front end. So that's part of all of our proposals now. And another thing I like about the video proposal is if there's ideas that you have maybe after the call as you're building it out, you think of examples or maybe go and grab some inspiration. I think it gives you an opportunity to like, here's a walkthrough of the pricing sheet. Oh, and I'm also going to show you either like a couple of our past videos that have been similar, or like this other video. Like I think it would be really cool to do this. Again, it's just adding more value, showing that you care about their brand and that you're thinking vision through the lens of their brand. So proposal, they green light it. We send them a contract. The contract is we pretty much use a template contract for most projects unless they're requesting ownership of the footage, which is rare. But everything else pretty much exactly the same template contract. The system that we use will go in and autofill their name, email, company name, phone number, all that good stuff. So it's really automated in that aspect. But we just create a contract, we send it to them. It's an e-signature. It's a legally binding contract. They sign it,
Yep.
and that project then gets moved into active project status.
Yeah, active project, and we begin pre-production.
Yeah.
Official pre-production on the project, which means we have some planning to do. We have some scheduling to do. Hopefully, on the onboarding call, we have clarified when this project is, when we're shooting it, when it needs to be done. So pre-production process varies between projects. I mean, there's massive projects that take a ton of that work. There's projects that like really pre-production almost happens subconsciously.
Yeah.
And so it's pretty low touch, but we do want to highlight that portion, because if you ignore it for every project, you're going to put yourself in some tough situations.
Yeah.
So you do want to make sure all of your planning, whether it's locations or casting, if you need to figure out casting, or voiceover, we've had quite a few of. Just having a plan. You don't necessarily have to go get that at that point. Casting, you probably should. But just having a plan for what are all these variables here outside of us showing up and filming need to happen for this to be possible. And that's really the process. There might even be some concept work for the video done with the client. So maybe you've aligned the vision, you kind of know what the video will be, but you still need to talk about the story you're going to tell to get there, or maybe a couple different ideas dancing around. So this could be, again, I say project to project, but this could be more calls, setting up your next call with the client to talk about XYZ. This could be scheduling, maybe you have to book a space for the shoot. This could be so many things. And it's really important. In fact, the larger the production, the more pre-production gets like its own focus. Yeah. Sometimes people's only job is that. And so, our process just kind of varies a little bit, but typically that's when I hand it over to Austin, and he figures out, okay, what do we need to do to actually make this shoot possible? Yeah.
So at the most basic level, and I would say, probably 80% of our projects need not a ton of pre-production.
Right.
Maybe an hour or two.
Yeah.
But I would say pretty much every project after the contract is signed, we set up some sort of call with, all the parties of interest, and we talk about, at the very least, time and location.
Yep.
If it's an event where we're doing a couple interviews and capturing an event, we do that in our sleep at this point. So we don't necessarily need to all I really need is to know what time we need to start the first interview and any other relevant times.
Right. Yeah.
I would like a picture of the room.
Right.
I don't need to do a location scout.
Right.
Because that's 2 hours I'm billing to the client that I don't need to.
Yeah.
For that type of project.
Yep.
So it's all about, you don't want to be just on the other end of you don't want to be doing no pre-production. You also don't need to bill a whole day for a freaking corporate interview video. Some people, I think, overdo it on the pre-production side.
Yeah.
And that's just cost that you're passing on to your client, which is fine if you have the budget. But anyway, I digress. So for a lot of projects, I really just need to know the time, the location. I'd love to get a picture. Sometimes we can't get a picture, but if at the very least I can get a photo of the room so that I, in my head, can be thinking of where we're going to set up and a general lighting plan, which for those types of videos, again, it's pretty similar for most of them. They don't need a super creative, crazy lighting setup. They need a good face light, a backlight. They need it to sound great, be composed well, and have some background depth.
Yeah.
Those are the things we're looking for. Now, when we get there, we can be a little bit more creative, but generally, I just need to know what the room looks like, what we're walking into, and what time we need to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then really is just knowing what gear we need to bring, creating a checklist of gear so that we make sure that we have everything we need.
Yeah.
That's been one really nice thing about having a cart is honestly our corporate kit kind of just stays and lives on the cart.
Yeah.
So that's gotten a lot less of trying to pull all the equipment we need, because everything that we need for most of our corporate gigs stays on the cart for a lot of the time. So we kind of just put everything, load up the cart, make sure we have everything, kind of go off the checklist. So pre-production, that's it for a lot of projects. Obviously, the project we're going to talk about in our project highlight today was one of those projects that needed a lot more than that.
Way more.
And so sometimes
Stay tuned.
Yeah. So sometimes there's projects that need vision. They need ideation. They need us to sit down and brainstorm. And the client hopefully has a little bit of a vision. It can be really tough, but usually the clients that are hiring you for those types of jobs have some vision for what they're looking for. And so what we found works best with those is when a client has a little bit of vision, but they trust us with the creative freedom. We can partner with them. And typically what that looks like is they'll kind of walk through what their vision is with us. We'll go to the table. We'll spin up the coolest ideas that we possibly can. We'll then set up another call, or we'll send them a treatment, which is basically like a slide deck, which is what we did for this project we're about to chat on, as we put together a keynote document with basically like the script that we wanted to do, all of the shots, ideas that we wanted to do, and kind of the overall flow of the video. And then we found example imagery, music. You can link music in there, if it's a inspiration on the music side. And so we really tried to get them to feel what our vision was for it. And thankfully, most of the time they see it and they're like, this is exactly what we wanted. Like, you guys, this is amazing. That was the case with that one. And then we, can kind of refine and through a series of conversations kind of hone in from there.
Yeah. And we could also link that slide deck in the description, and you guys can literally just copy it for your next project to give you an idea.
Got to join the group though.
Gotta
join the group.
You gotta join the group, dude.
There it was.
You gotta join the group. So after pre-production, after we figure out how much thought needs to go into this, and I would say if you can't get a picture of the space, just build in like a little bit of time to get there early and look for yourself.
Sure. Yeah.
Because you definitely don't want to say, what time do we need to be there? Client says, oh, we need to start shooting at 3, and then you show up at 3.
Yeah, don't ever do that.
Don't ever do that. You need time to see the space. You need time to set up your gear.
Yeah.
So make sure you're specifying what time do we need to start shooting versus what time you are able to get there.
Facts.
So anyway, that's just a little side note. So
production.
Now we're into production.
Shoot day.
Now it's shoot
Best
day.
part.
Everyone's favorite part.
We ramp that car into that van.
Oh yeah.
Just hit it, dude.
All the gears on the car. We push that thing up and we're on our way.
Yeah.
It's everyone's favorite part.
We jump on in.
This is the part where hopefully we have determined, sometimes we're determining on our way, roles on set, which is kind of, Darren's really good at identifying these. This is, I would say once it's shoot day, it's kind of handed on to your guys' plate as the DP and director. And you've really got this idea of how, we go over the goals of the day, what we're shooting, why we're shooting it.
Yeah.
And then it's go time. We're there to execute. We're there to serve our clients well. So maybe just Darren talk about defining roles on set. Why do we even do that instead of just showing up and setting up?
Well, so we have a pretty small team, and we typically run very lean, which is on purpose. It saves the clients tons of money.
So much money.
And we can accomplish a lot with a little. So, typically, I'll just kind of chat through whoever's on set. If it's, 3 of us or 4 of us or 5 of us, we'll just kind of chat through before we get to set, like, hey, what are we doing? Who is doing what on set? And typically we all kind of know our roles and we kind of know our strengths.
Yeah.
And so we usually just roll in and we are all setting up gear, all hands on deck. I typically pull back from setting up, not because I'm lazy, but I typically am going to start building rapport and relationship with whoever's at the shoot, running the shoot, and maybe the business owner or representative or marketing person that's there, and just kind of get to chatting. And it may even just be like, we're just shooting it and I'm just making them laugh and feel comfortable that, hey, we're on set. It doesn't have to be uptight. It doesn't have to feel stressful, but it's going to be really fun. And it's going to be really fun working with us. And that's my main goal right when I get there. Once I kind of feel like that relationship is established, I'll pull back like, hey, thank you so much for letting us be here. Like, this is going to be an amazing day. All right, cool. You can go work, go on your laptop, do whatever. They feel like they can trust and hand the ball over to us.
Yep.
And now I'm looking at our team. What are we doing? What are we setting up? Hey, Austin, what's your lighting plan? He's telling me. I'm like, I love it because he's always crushing lighting.
Right.
And then I'm looking at the whole set. And then I go from connecting with whoever is on point for them there to now, like, how can the set look as the best that it can with what we have there? So, again, I'll start, rearranging things and moving things and making sure set looks good. And we'll place talent and make sure everything just looks really good. And then, we just kind of all finished, gaffing cables. I'm a big, I want the set to be safe and I want the set to be clean for anyone that's coming in and out of set. And so you guys all know, because I'm probably annoying about it now, but like I tell you to tape down the cables because I don't want people tripping on my set like at all. And so very, very, I care about the details. And so make sure that everything's good to go, and then make sure set looks good, all the cables, everything's set, and then we're ready to film. And that really just kind of hands off to whoever's producing at that time.
Yeah, and then I usually come in and decide that I actually want this light about a foot over this way.
Fast. And then I have to
and the cable's completely gaffed down to exactly where that's
every time, bro. And gaff tape, if you don't know this, but gaff tape, you can buy cheap gaff.
Worth its weight in gold, baby.
Gaffer Power tape is the best tape.
Yep.
Hands down. We've tried the cheap stuff where you buy like 6 rolls for $30. Well, we buy Gaffer tape, which is Gaffer Power tape, and it is $30 for 1 roll. Whew. So it is 6 times more expensive and 6 times more effective.
Yes.
And you can get it today at an affiliate link at the below. No, I'm just kidding. We don't have an affiliate link for that, but we should.
Sweet,
but it is fire, and we do use a lot of gaff, and just buy it and use it. It's very awesome and great. And if you want to do things like tape lights to ceilings and stuff, it'll hold.
It is by far 90% the best
of the time.
Yeah, you use the substitute and you're like,
this doesn't stick to anything.
I'll pay the money.
I couldn't believe it,
take
dude.
my money.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We've tried. Just take our word for it.
So we pass off. The set looks good. Everything looks good. The talent feels great. They're all excited, whatever. And we've built the rapport and relationship on set. And then now we are going into probably the interview and questions. So whoever wants to produce, which we've all produced before, just kind of, if it's about sports, we usually make Trev do it. If it's really anything else, me or Austin will do it.
Yep. And we've covered producing interviews before, so we don't need to, dive full into that. If you want to, in-depth break down on the art of interviewing, I do think it is an art. I think that you can just stand there and ask the questions, but you can also do it in a way that is an art form of actually engaging, listening, asking follow-up questions, trying to draw out what you're really looking for rather than just the surface level answer that they'll give you the first time.
Yep.
But we're not going to dive too far into that. So production, usually if we've done a good job in pre-production, production runs smoothly because we've got an idea of how the day is going to flow. We talked about that in our Box Fort Kingdom breakdown. Just having an idea of like, it doesn't have to necessarily always be at this time of day. That's high level, multi-million-dollar budget commercials. Maybe you're to a minute by minute schedule.
Right.
But typically for the projects that we're doing, we can kind of just decide like the order of the day and the flow that makes the most sense. Are you okay over there, Lola? Is she dreaming? She's dreaming, isn't she?
Put the mic up to her. She's making like weird.
Oh, is she okay? Wake her up. She's
having a nightmare. A dog nightmare.
A dogmare.
She's not doing it.
Lola, you okay?
It's okay, Lola.
Okay,
she was
she's
definitely
good.
dreaming.
Oh yeah, she's fine.
Oh yeah, she's
there
good
we go.
now.
Dude, she's so funny. She'll just start to flop her little.
Anyways, if you do the pre-production right, production days typically run smoothly. I can't really think of many examples where we've had like a major hiccup on production day.
No.
But it can happen if you don't prepare. That's why pre-production is so important. At least having a general idea of how things are going to go. And then I think the other important thing is like being flexible on the day of that. Like it may not go exactly the way that you think,
right?
But as long as you're maximizing the time that you have there, you should be able to still create an awesome product and give the client an awesome experience.
For sure.
So that's production. Don't really need to overly talk about that. Then it moves into post-production. Obviously, first step is getting the footage offloaded. We just a little bit of technical stuff. We use a RAID system. So we have an OWC Thunder Bay 8 is what we use. It's got, I think 114 terabytes of total hard drives in it, but they're all mirrored. So it cuts that in half.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it's 108 because it's 50, maybe it's 112. It's 56 terabytes total of actual storage space. Because anytime you copy something on there, it gets put on 2 separate drives. So if you have a drive go down, you aren't losing any data unless you have 2 drives fail simultaneously, which that's a whole nother story. You can look up YouTube videos on how to protect your storage. But after we dump the footage, we also then upload that using a software called Backblaze, which is, you should absolutely be using it. It's like $5 or $7 a month. It's super cheap. It backs up everything on a hard drive to the cloud. It's pretty wild storage limits. Like we can back up our whole 48 terabyte current catalog for $7 a month is pretty crazy.
That's
so
crazy.
If something happens to your drive, all you really are out on is the time spent re-downloading all of that data.
Right.
So protect your data. I'm not going to say anything else on that.
Yep.
But dumping cards, then we get into the editing process.
This is the part that I'm completely removed from. Happily.
This is the part that we hired Trev for, and literally does none of it anymore.
None of it.
Which is great. We know our strengths.
Yeah,
exactly.
So jumping
Darren,
into
what does that look like?
Yeah, it looks a lot different per project, and so a lot of times it looks like, "Hey Bray, can you edit that?" And then I walk away. And then sometimes it looks like, "Oh, we all need to collaborate on finding." The right music, or help each other figure out, downloading the elements from the business, which I mean, the logos or any of the fonts or anything like that will be utilized in maybe the lower thirds or something like that. Honestly, more times than not, this is really surprising, or maybe it's not to you, but what we've experienced in the last 6 years of our company, like none of the companies that send us their logos know how to send it in a transparent PNG. And it just,
it's wild.
Sad.
So like 50% of the time we're just stealing it off Google and then bringing it into Photoshop and then exporting, deleting the background and then exporting it the best we can. But at that rate, like you're at the expense of using it at the resolution that you find it.
Right.
So sometimes it looks good, sometimes it looks trash. So anyway, just trying to figure that stuff out. Some of those weird little headache things that, hey, we need the logo for the end and the beginning of the video, so we're gonna have to find it. And so we do that. Really just taking any of the notes from the email that was shared, like, hey, we want it to be 2 to 3 minutes. We want to make sure that Sally is, in the opening shot. We love drone in this spot, and again, it varies from project to project. Sometimes they're like, hey, make us whatever. We'll just do our thing, and they're super pumped. Sometimes there's a little bit more specifics that go into the editing process.
Yeah, and I would say 9 times out of 10, what it looks like is we use a project management software to track our projects. So we've got, our edit queue. We've got what is currently being edited. We've got what is in feedback state right now where we've sent it to the client. We're waiting to get their feedback. We've got things that are delivered but not paid yet. We've got things that are delivered and paid. Then we move it to a needs backloaded so that we know that project is good to go, ready to put back on the main storage system. So briefly running through the process, obviously we have everything on one storage system, but we work off of solid state drives. Yes. So when we take a project, we pull that project off of the main storage system onto a solid state drive. We work off of that solid state drive typically until the project is finished. Then we backload the library and all of the exports and everything like that once it's approved back to the main storage system. And so typically kind of the process is Bray takes whatever project is next in line based on due date and deadline and priority and all of that stuff, and she will take it, work on it until it's ready for a V1. It's cool because we each kind of have different strengths. So sometimes, she'll ask Darren or I to help her find a song if she's running into a wall, or if there's an animation that needs done, or some magic trickery with, ghetto animation, then Darren, comes into the rescue. And then I will typically come in once that's all in place, and I'll do a audio and color run. So right now, at least for the time being, I currently understand the most in Resolve and Fairlight to do audio mixing and things like that. Mm-hmm. So I'll typically, once the kind of framework is there and the video's cut up and all the B-rolls in there, I'll go through then and EQ the dialogue and apply limiters and mix the music and the dialogue and everything like that.
Yep.
I'll make one or two good passes on audio. I'll make a pass on color, just making sure that everything looks like it's color corrected properly and everything looks good.
Yeah.
And then we will send a V1 to the client. We use Vimeo to host all of our videos. It's great. It's cheap. You can host a ton of videos on there. And then the client can actually get a review link where they can go in and add comments. So if they have feedback, we encourage them just leave comments on the timestamps. If they pause it and leave a comment, it timestamps it, so we can just click on that timestamp to see what they're talking about. It's much easier than just getting like a list of notes. So we encourage them to do that.
We leave downloads off until
Yes.
the final is done and uploaded and the invoice is paid.
Correct.
We just click a button, allow downloads. We leave it up there to live there for just online kind of our library, and then they can download it in the highest resolution.
Yep. So we send them a V1. We get their feedback. We encourage them to get us feedback in a timely manner. We've had projects that we have not gotten feedback in a timely manner, and it's not fun. We've actually had projects or a project that we didn't get feedback for like a year.
Wow.
And that was not fun. So
Yeah.
again, that could be something that you communicate ahead of time as well.
Yeah.
Hey, feedback, within a week or within 72 hours or whatever you want to make that. But we get feedback. We deliver. This doesn't have to be what you do. We deliver one round of revisions included in the proposal.
Yeah.
So anything beyond that is subject to be billing on an hourly basis. But we deliver one round of revisions. So we also encourage them, hey, get everybody's feedback.
Yeah.
Don't send me your feedback, then I do a revision, then you send it to, Mark, who's your marketing director, and then get his feedback, and we're making more revisions.
Director.
Yeah, Mark.
That's weird. It's like my dentist, his name is Crentis.
Yeah, that is weird.
Wait, what time is it?
Oh, you missed your appointment.
Oh, you missed it. Dude, it's 3:02. You missed your
32 minutes late, dude.
Dang.
Anyways, we do our round of revisions. Usually we can, get the product that the client's happy with on that first revision.
Yeah.
So we'll kind of send it one more time. If there's no other feedback, then we will open up, we'll send an invoice. As soon as the invoice is paid, we'll open up downloads. And there's times where we do that and times where we don't. We work with some clients that, they're working for large companies that have a net 30. They need the video on a tight deadline. We have a trust relationship built with them. We know they're good to pay it. So we'll enable downloads.
Yeah.
But especially the first time we work with a client, we will not do that. We will make sure at least we get payment confirmation. Then we'll go in and enable downloads to protect ourselves from that.
That's it.
Wow.
That's
our process.
That's the process.
Oh, and then we follow up for a review, which is new.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So last step in the process that you should be doing, if you aren't already, if you're doing projects and clients are happy, be sure to ask them for a review.
Yeah.
People want to give you 5-star reviews, and
Super
they
valuable.
are very, very helpful for people finding your business on Google.
That's right.
Don't
So
underestimate
that
that.
you know the process. So if you guys need some videos, no, I'm just kidding. But I'm just kind of feeling just a little down on myself a little bit right now, and I could really just use, I don't know, maybe some encouragement.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Encouragement time.
Oh, it never gets old. This
Never.
is the amazing segment where we love to encourage you guys with something specific. And today, our encouragement is coming from good old Austin Hall.
Lucky me.
Woohoo!
Let's go.
All right, guys. thank you for sticking around this far, first of all.
Yeah.
I know this has maybe not been the most inspiring, emotional message that you've heard ever, but it is very practical. And so my encouragement to you is if this feels overwhelming or if anything in your business feels overwhelming, you can figure it out. You can stay the course. And I know, and I've seen it in my own life, every time I hit that wall of discouragement, every time I hit that wall of overwhelm, of learning something new, of challenging myself to grow in an area that I know I need growth in, you kind of have to hit that point, but then you break through it.
Yeah.
And it's inevitable. If you keep trying, you will break through that, whatever you're up against, whether it's, again, learning a new skill, a new software, implementing a new system in your business. It has to feel that way sometimes before you have that light bulb moment.
Right.
But I just want to encourage you to do that, to find new ways to do that, because really, if you're not doing that, you're not growing. And it's not really like the avoidance of pain is not a way to a happy, fulfilled life. It's actually embracing the stretch, embracing that pain, that will, once you get through that, you're going to be in such a better place. You're going to feel better about yourself. You're going to feel better about your business. Your business is going to grow.
Amen.
And so I would encourage you to do that. You can do it. I believe in you. And just do it!
That's so good.
Thanks for that, Austin.
Great encouragement time.
Really
You know a
appreciate
song
that.
that literally just popped in my head when you were encouraging us?
What?
Yeah. Back off, I'll take you on. Headstrong, I'll take on anyone. I know that you are wrong and this is not where you belong.
I can feel everything away.
Wow.
Nice. And you got a song for free
Yeah,
today, too.
for free.
What a blessing.
Thanks
today.
for that encouragement, Austin.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate that.
It was kind of more of like a tough love kind of encouragement.
Yeah, it's good.
Sometimes
but-
people need that.
Yeah.
You need it, dude.
Sometimes people need that.
Yeah.
So talking about our process, we walked through the entire thing. Let's apply it to a project.
Yeah.
This is our new segment called the Project Highlight, where we're going to
Yeah.
highlight a project that we've done recently that is maybe unique or faced unique challenges or just something that gives you an actual inside look into how we apply these things that we talk about to real client work.
Yep.
We are open. We want to share details with
Yeah.
you. If you have questions along the way about these specific projects that we don't hit, please ask us.
Yeah.
Because we just really think it's an awesome way to give you a tangible example, something
Yeah.
we've actually worked through, and there's a real result that exists out there. And so what is our project highlight for the week?
Yeah. A little bit of backstory on this particular client is we actually got this client for doing free work for another person. So just another little tip for free for you. If you're looking to acquire really great people and network, doing some free things and working with people and networking and maybe, scratching other people's back, they scratch yours in return. And so we have some of the best clients now from referral clients that we had worked with and did pretty simple free work videos before. But yeah, this client is 88 Tactical. They are a gun tree club.
Club.
They don't call themselves that. I do, but they're essentially a gun range, but they're also an exceptional fitness center. They have almost 100 courses in self-defense, in gun safety, in jiu-jitsu. I mean, you name it. They have some of the most incredible people there. The people that are on staff are like ex-Green Berets and people that will either kill you or keep you safe.
Right.
It depends on what
side are you on?
What side you're on. And it's an incredible state-of-the-art building. It has a facility. Actually, it has, what doesn't it have? It has everything.
Amazing restaurant.
It has an amazing
Got
restaurant.
a Top Golf swing suite.
Top Golf swing suite.
A giant speakeasy.
A giant speakeasy.
Oh, sick. They have plans for a pool and outdoor space.
Like a med spa.
Yeah.
It just has everything that you would ever need in one place.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. It's a neat spot. We've been corporate members there for a while in partnerships with them, and they are just some of the most incredible people that we've ever worked with, and just super blessed to work with them.
Yeah.
So over the they actually were our first ever TV commercial, and so it was really cool because the CEO Shay, he trusted us back when we were just like figuring
based off of like some wedding films.
Yeah,
it was like all we had at the point.
We had nothing to show, and we sat down in this really sick meeting with this like airplane glass table, like airplane wing, like fancy table. He's like, yeah, what do you guys do? And we're like, well, we take videos at our church, and like we shot like a wedding or two last week. And he's like, cool, man, let's freaking do this. And he didn't say frickin', he said the other one. And we're like, dude, this guy's gonna trust us with like a TV commercial. Dude, it was insane. Like we left like sweating, stoked, hyped all at the same time. And anyway, we're just super hyped, and it's been now almost 6 years we've been working with them. And it's been cool. The relationship has grown and built, and now the project that we're talking about in the project highlight that I'm finally getting to, so I apologize because it took forever to get here. This video was probably, I think it's my favorite project we've ever done. I think I'm the most proud of this project.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Out of anything in the 6 years we've done. And really going into it, it was very overwhelming. I'll just tell you, there was a $20,000 budget, so it wasn't huge.
Right.
But it was enough to, obviously like work with. And so we're like, how are we going to do this? And it's a client we love very much. So we're like, how are we going to just like knock this out of the park? And the one thing they did say to us was like, hey, we're not going to get other bids. We're not going to really let anyone else take this project. So you guys are going to kill it. Go for it. And we're like, we love the trust and creative freedom. They had a little bit of vision, but they also really just trusted us with taking it and running with it. And so I really think the process started out really just kind of Austin had an idea. You had a call.
Yeah, so we had a Zoom call, and really the vision that we got was, so this video is designed to be kind of an alternative to like a pitch deck that you would show to a potential investor. So what better way, except anything ever in existence to show an investor than a set of slides on a computer than a cinematic documentary on why 88 Tactical is the coolest thing ever. And so that was like the whole purpose was, we're going to send this to potential investors so that they don't have to spend 20 minutes looking at boring still slides of what this is when they could just experience it and feel it. And so that was kind of the vision. The vision was, hey, we want to encapsulate not only the guns, because that's what it started as, but that's only a small portion of it now. We want to encapsulate that having an 88 Tactical in your community prepares individuals, it prepares law enforcement, because they do law enforcement training as well as civilian training. So it prepares your community to be the guardians of their community. And so we wanted to figure out how to tell a story that encapsulated the essence of that, of not only is this a place for gun-loving, dudes, but this is a place you can bring the whole family. This is a place you can bring your children, that they can feel safe, they can feel at home, they can get trained in how to have self-defense. They've got anti-bully and anti-abduction classes. I mean, it's pretty cool, like what they do, but it's hard to explain to somebody in a different city that has never experienced it firsthand. And so that was like the challenge that we were tasked with, was like helping somebody experience this through video. And so we had, a rough, kind of outline of what all the topics we need to hit on. We sat in the conference room, we went to town on brainstorming, and we wanted to come up with this really like a short film that had, a very strong hook at the beginning. I guess maybe more like a documentary, but really strong hook at the beginning, because this is for investors, people that are busy people. So they need to be drawn in right away. So that was like the real like specific thing from the client. They wanted it to have a powerful, really quick draw action call to attention, so that people are roped in and they stay roped in through the whole thing. So we kind of built out this story arc, and we're like, I remember sitting in the conference room and we're like, what can we do to like really hook people in. Like we could
Mhm.
start with like, you know, unrest in America and like students, you know, in school or whatever. And then I remember you were like, I have an idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, shoot. And you're like, what if we started with a room of students saying the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah.
And in between each of their like little statements, we flash to riots and
Right.
unrest and all of these things to kind of contrast like what's happening in our country right now. And that's kind of the overall like vision is like 88 is an answer to, or it just can help prepare people to be the safeguard of their family.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
in
kind
the
of,
midst of all of the chaos happening around us.
yeah. And that's where like this pre-production process for this project came into play, is like we needed to do all this because that's not a clearly defined, the end goal is clearly defined, but you can't just say, okay, and then just walk, you know, drive over to 88, walk in and like know what to film and make a video about, you know, like we're not going to just get B-roll of each room in the facility and throw it together and say, this is 88.
Right.
Like there's real passion behind that place. There's real vision. There's real direction from their leadership.
Yeah.
It means something to them. It's their livelihood.
Yep.
And so how can our video display that? And that's why, okay, now we recognize this needs some pre-production. This has to be awesome. Sometimes we come up with multiple ideas. I can think of a project off the top of my head where we come up with multiple ideas and offer it and let them kind of choose the direction of it. But really, I feel like this one was pretty aligned, and we were thinking at such an elevated level, and we were all just like, this is it. When Darren had that idea, and from the get-go, which I think is a strength of his, is seeing even specifics of the edit before we've even like shot anything, or of let's do this and let's go into this and it needs to touch this, which then once he starts on that, then that invites all of us into that thinking. And then we can, you know, we're bouncing off each other. We're like, oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Where do we find things like that? Well, let's check here, write that down. Let's do this. And so that is the pre-production, and we're in this room and hashing all this out. And then not only is it having the ideas, getting them written down, but it's how do you present that then to, how do you collect all of this information and present it to, which is the deck that you were mentioning earlier. But anyway, I just wanted to jump in and clarify, like that's sometimes what this pre-production looks like. Yeah. And that's only just like, the ideation and the vision of it. We haven't even talked about scheduling and how many, you know, they offer so many classes. And so we're working with Thea there. I don't know what role she is, but she runs the show. And she's so amazing. And so she's sending us all these class schedules, and we're like figuring out based on our schedules when we're available to shoot things. And like all of that is the pre-production of like every minute detail that we can control. Yeah. We're going to take control of to make this project happen.
And keep in mind too, like that $20,000 was probably spent in the first 30% of this project being shot and the editing process. But we knew that this was going to be a piece that we will probably hold on to and showcase for many years to come. Mm-hmm. And a really kind of fun part about the whole project, and I don't think we need to talk about it like for too long now, but like you get that it mattered a lot to us. We put our heart and soul into it, and then on the other side of it, we had a really happy client. But I want to read a couple of the text messages that he sent to us.
Sick.
But some of them were like dad speaking to his kids, like, you have no idea how much like this means to me and you guys mean to me, and working together. It was just like this validation of like just a beautiful conversation that was happening with us. But something that was cool that we had no idea. So we put our heart and soul and our livelihood, not our livelihood, but we put blood, sweat, and tears in this thing.
Yeah, it was like for a month straight,
that's all I could think about.
We breathed 88 Tactical and how we can get this video done. I mean, lots of days of shooting, many different days, probably 10 different days that we went and shot something.
And the other thing was like 3 or 4 of those days, like they didn't really care if we came to shoot, but we were like, no, to make this thing epic, I don't even care if I need 3 shots. I think we used 3 shots of the food plates.
Yeah.
And we went there for how long and filmed the food?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, bro, it's like, anyway, sorry, but I digress. But I wanted to read this, but we didn't know any of this prior. We just, hey, we're putting everything into this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so anyway, this bleep, yes. Everyone is absolutely bleeping, flipping out over it. It is being sent to people like Kid Rock, Rob O'Neill, the guy who killed Osama bin Laden, Michael Strahan, Post Malone, and many, many more. Oh, and Trump Jr. We'll be seeing it too.
Wow.
And like, so it's just kind of bizarre too, because regardless if you like or dislike the people that I just read, the eyes that are going to be seeing this film, like, just transcends all across, you know, the US and beyond, and people that are quite influential. And, you know, do we think it's going to come of something, or we're going to shoot Post Malone music videos now? I don't really care about that, but I do think it's really cool that we took this thing on and really put everything into it. And because of that, I think we're being rewarded. Who knows really what that's going to what's going to happen of that, or, you know, if these people are going to see it and be like, yo, who made that video, bro? They're like, yo, Glory Visuals.
Right.
Or if it's just like, wow, this is incredible. 88 Tactical takes off franchises all over the US, which I think is going to happen because it's one of the coolest places in the world.
Yeah.
And then not only that, but because we're so diligent with that client, we're the sole company that handles all of the content across all the campuses all throughout the US. So just kind of a little like benefit, but also like wasn't the motivator, but it could turn into potentially years and years of more relationship and work in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the more reason to treat every project, you know, with absolute excellence. And it's easier on these ones. You get to be way more creative. You get to shoot with, you know, your shiny new lenses that we got to shoot on, which was sick. And, you know, try new things and all of that. It's a little bit easier, but you never know who's going to see your video. Yeah. Another cool thing I thought that was really neat was that he like requested that we put our logo at the end of the video. And I was like, I don't want to. Like, I'm not about using this as a piece like that when people see it, they see our logo. Like, I want them to be sold on 88 Tactical.
Right.
And so I think that's a principle of like, a lot of people probably would have like asked if they could put their logo at the end. And I did end up putting it at the end because he literally was like asking us, like, please put your logo at the end. And I'm like, okay, I mean, that's not what this is about, but like, I will, if you really want me to, like, I'm down to, you know, potentially benefit from this in the future. But I just thought that was really cool. And I think that's why we are able to have these types of relationships is because we're putting the client first every single time.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of, I mean, we probably don't even have time today to walk through the entire process on this video.
Probably
but
not.
Briefly, we went to, like Trev said, we picked a bunch of classes, we shot the classes, shot everything on anamorphic, we lit everything, made it all look awesome and
we
epic
borrowed
and
all
cinematic.
of our friends and all of our pastors' kids.
So the school scene,
for the school scene,
we obviously had to like find a real school room. So our employee Trey, his sister's a teacher at a Catholic school. Her room worked perfectly. Shouts out to Taylor, right? Shouts out Taylor.
Thanks, T.
Appreciate you. And so, like Darren said, we literally were like hitting up every homie who had a kid under 10 or between
Dude, the classroom had 10-year-olds and 3-year-olds.
So we had to put like
Apple
3 of the
boxes.
kids like on a Pelican case or on an Apple box because there was such a height discrepancy.
Right.
But
hey,
like
but it worked out.
You do the best with what you have. No one has said anything about like, that kid looks a little young or that kid looks a little old to be in that
It's like
class.
a homeroom, you know, for like all the kids.
Yeah.
But we had to throw that together, which, you know, was part of the pre-production and working on the budget that we were given. We couldn't like go out and hire, you know, 15 child actors and pay to rent a space. And so we had to be, you know, a little bit scrappy, if you will.
You know what's funny too is like 88 was not a part of that scene that, you know, like it was just something where like this video needs this. They were aligned on the vision. And then it was just like, how do we make it happen? Like 88 didn't have a rep there to check it. Like they talk about creative freedom.
Yeah.
They really were like, have at it.
Yeah, it was
Go
sick.
create. So
Yeah, we'll have to link the video, but
yeah, we
Yeah,
will.
for sure.
we literally lit that room with a mirror board, like pushing the sun back through the blinds.
Like 100 feet
Which
out.
that mirror board is sick. I
It's
love
great.
that thing.
Oh,
But
great.
yeah, we tried to use like our most powerful light and it did literally nothing.
0.
So, but the mirror board just redirects the sun, which is pretty strong. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
did a great job. We put up like some supplemental lighting.
Mhm.
We actually have an Instagram post where you can kind of see
The light.
the
yeah.
whole lighting setup and everything. And then
Yeah.
we rigged a shotgun mic from the ceiling to capture the room noise,
Yep.
which turned out really great.
Yep.
We just figured it out, and we interviewed a couple members that
Yeah.
have a beautiful family of 4 homeschooled children. They're amazing people. They were gracious enough to give us like he took the day off. We took
Mhm.
most of the day to like film their really a customer testimony.
Yeah.
And I guess real quickly I could just walk you through kind of the story arc. So we have the hook, kids saying the Pledge of Allegiance. Then we go into a voiceover, really introing what 88's all about. That's kind of this big epic section.
Yep.
Then it fades down.
is the best place in the world.
Then we go into like the origins. We broke it out in sections and had cool little text elements, but origins was what we called this, and that's really Shay talking about how it started.
Yep.
And how it's evolved from just a shooting range into what it is today, which is really a fully fledged entertainment venue,
Yeah.
family venue, training facility, all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Then we go into the impact that it's had because we want to showcase the impact it's actually had on their members.
Yep.
There we have Eric and Jamie. They were incredible, just awesome people. And we got to film their cute little fam testimonial and them, shooting guns with their kids. Their kids are all in jujitsu, which is
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Like,
Sweet.
just it's cool to see parents whose kids, they know how to take care of each other. They know
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
to take care of themselves. They know how to take care of other people. So then we had that section. Then we went into the actual amenities because there's so many, talking about all of the different amenities that the place has.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally was
Training.
Yep, sorry, amenities, then training, then like a call to action, because really this is designed to create an action of somebody wanting to invest in this vision. So
Yep.
that was kind of the outline. So that was a lot of class shooting. We went there for like a full day just to get shots of the facilities with no one in it so that we could showcase that.
Yep.
What else did we do? We were there
Yeah, just shot a
several
bunch of
different
different
times.
classes, a lot of
Yeah.
The cool thing about 88 is they have, a lot of, it's not just like a bunch of like dudes that love America going shooting guns. It's like there's female instructors, there's female handgun classes, there's like, kids. We shot we filmed with these kids that were like holding rifles for the first time ever in their life. Like that cute little girl
kid class.
that was like little kid class, like teaching gun safety and all this stuff. It's just, there's like stuff for everyone. And it was just so cool.
Yeah.
And so we tried to make sure that we were able to film enough of everything, just a little bit of everything, so that you really could get the sense of the culture and what they have to offer. And I think we hit it right on the head. And everybody, I was just at 88. We went and shot 50 rounds because he wanted to test out his new mag.
Oh yeah.
And so we were just there, and we were with did we go with someone? Justin.
Yeah.
Oh,
Justin.
before Justin. So we were there shooting, and when I went to go, I think, pick up the guns, the rentals, I ran into a lady and she goes, "Oh, you're with Glory Visuals. The video was amazing." She started talking about the video and her eyes started getting watery,
Dang.
saying like how emotional they were getting all together as they watched it. She goes, "We cry every time," but she's telling me about it and getting tears in her eyes. And I'm like, bro, and then I went and told Austin, I'm like, this is sick.
This is so
Dog,
cool.
they're talking about our video and crying when they're not even watching it. Like,
Right.
dude, if we can make that much of a difference, like
Yeah.
that fills my tank up to do it again over and over and over.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really, I mean, this episode's gone far too long. If you're still here, I love
Kudos
you.
to you.
Ray's over here falling asleep. So, and
Crushing it over there, Bray.
you're killing it. But yeah, I think we can wrap here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you guys for listening. You guys are the best. Don't forget to subscribe. If you're on YouTube, again, if you are watching on YouTube, or if you're not, you should be, because it's really, really cool. This whole room is built out to be super exciting and fun to watch, but also just come chill on the couch. Lola naps the whole time.
The whole time she'd been sleeping.
Make sure you hit the bell for notifications, so every time that we post a video, you are notified. And I think that's really just it.
Yeah, if you want to follow along with what we're doing outside of these episodes, you can follow us on Instagram at the Glory Boys Pod. We have a Facebook page, LinkedIn. We're trying to add some value to LinkedIn.
Yep.
And so check that out. We are linking full episodes. We're posting some clips, some of the segments, and then just some other practical things that will add value, some concepts and things like that. So if you would like to follow along with what we're doing outside of just filming in this room, check out our socials.
Yeah, and if you're not already familiar, if you didn't get here from Glory Visuals is our video production company. You can find us on pretty much any platform at Glory Visuals, except for TikTok, but for sure Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, at Glory Visuals. And make sure that you click the link below to join our private group.
Yes.
And we will be linking, like we said, the pricing sheet. We'll post a link to any other relevant content that we covered in this episode. The link to the video that we're talking about that we broke down today. And thanks so much for joining. Thanks for sticking around.
Yeah.
Hopefully you got some value out of this episode. And join the group. Let us know if you have questions. And we love you all. And we'll see you in the next episode.
See ya.
Bye.